Man, the best Star Wars I've seen in a while is happening in Tony Gilroy's Andor, everybody.
So like, holy moly, this is awful. The Empire is awful.
I'm curious to see how else they kind of tied into going into Rogue One.
That's what always happens. MT has better ideas than what happens on the actual show, and then I get mad.
Greetings, Palaxians. Today on the Bounty Board, we're catching up with Andor Season 2, Episodes 3 through 9. So kick up that warp drive and let's punch it.
Welcome back to the Guardians of the Palaxy podcast. Uh-oh, they're letting me intro the episode. You know what that means. It's going to get crazy. Whitney and Brett are away, and that means the mice must play. I am joined by my fellow founding member, the peaches to my cream, the cream to my peaches, the one and only MT. What's up, MT?
What's going on, gang? I'm so excited to talk about Andor.
Yes, and joining us in life and in love and in friendship, that was real awkward, is my dear friend and also a contributing writer to Bleacher Report and the host of the Wrestle Rant podcast, Jennifer Graham Matthews.
Hey,
What's going on, guys? MT Tommy, thanks for having me on, guys. I've been a longtime follower and fan, Tommy, as you know, of everything you guys have done for the last couple of years. So I still follow the podcast, Guardians of the Palaxy. You guys do a fantastic job. So when you hit me up, Tommy, to be on here today, I was super honored and I was super excited. So great to be joining with you guys.
Thanks, Graham.
Just a little background because we got to talk Andor today. Grant and I connected through Twitter, for X, formerly known as Twitter, but we actually met in person at WrestleMania a couple years ago.
Oh.
And with his lovely fiance, we enjoyed a pancake breakfast the next day.
At Dunbar's, right, Tommy?
Yeah,
Wasn't that what it was?
Dupars.
Dupar's. Okay, close.
Enough. Best pancakes in the West. All right. Speaking of best, man, the best Star Wars I've seen in a while is happening in Tony Gilroy's Andor, everybody. We got to get through all six of the, episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in this podcast. So how about just general reactions, boys? What are we thinking?
I mean, you want to start off, Graham?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just kind of catching up as well in the last couple of days because the schedule is interesting with the way that they've been dropping 3 episodes each for the last couple of weeks and, 3, 3, 3, and then 3 next week as well. I like that, obviously. I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about it, but just like with the year, the time difference and stuff like that as well, it makes sense, but it's also a lot to catch up on. And of course, we're only talking a day removed from when the last 3 episodes were uploaded or put up on Disney+. But these 3 specifically, and I'm not just saying this because we're talking about them today, were fantastic. And even the last 3 were very good as well. And I think they've been increasingly kind of been getting better week by week. And I think they've done a fantastic job. And they showed this in the first season as well. So this is nothing new for anyone that's followed the show up to this point. Right. They do a great job of building the drama and suspense. And although it's kind of slower paced, as much Star Wars stuff is, it culminates in just an amazing way. And not even in just like the 3rd episode of each arc, but episode 8 for this week, the second to last one, was also probably even better than the 9th one. So
absolutely.
I was blown away. We'll get into it, but I'm sure you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did.
Well, episode 8 was certainly a period of mourning for me, as will go on as my favorite Star Wars character ever met an untimely death. But MT, what did you think?
Cyril over Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, it goes Cyril. It goes that wolf guy in the Tatooine cantina. Luke Skywalker, Baby Yoda. I'm sorry, Grogu. I used his government name, Christopher Grogu.
But no, I totally agree with Graham. These last couple episodes, especially episode 8, were jaw-droppingly intense. Episode 8 will probably be in my memory of what a true rebellion looks like in Star Wars. It is just no holds barred, slaughter fest. I'm holy moly, this is awful. The Empire is awful. Jeez, Jar Jar, what did you do giving this man emergency powers?
That's right,
madman.
My God, Jar Jar. This is all Jar Jar's fault.
This is all Jar Jar's fault. They didn't go after Jar Jar, those gores. But yeah, it was just phenomenal. I kind of wish that all Star Wars stuff was at this level of presentation because every single relationship dynamic in this show is interesting. And whenever we go from one person to the next, I'm oh yeah, I can't wait to hear more of this. Oh yeah, I forgot, we're catching up with Bix. But yeah, no, these episodes have been phenomenal. What do you think, Tommy?
I echo these sentiments. I have been a fan just of, for whatever reason, I've always liked the bad guys. And I think that Cyril and Deidre's weird very sterile relationship getting put on display. The more the merrier for me. I liked the time jump in this first batch, episode 4 through 6. You know, it takes us kind of into the beginning of the Empire planting this insurgency, like trying to like cause the civil unrest so they can make scapegoats. All the conspiracy I thought was really interesting. The spycraft. It's so easy, as I was saying to Graham before we started recording, it's so easy to forget sometimes that this is a Star Wars show. But like as soon as you almost forget, a little dude pops up. Like it's like you'll see like 30 humans in a row, and then all of a sudden there's like a little creepy woolly mammoth guy that's like, like, all right, this is Star Wars. So yeah, I'm all in. I love these episodes. I love this series in general. The acting performances, like, you know, traditionally outside of like, I mean, I think, you know, Pedro Pascal winning for The Last of Us, it's like these shows get ignored by the award shit seasons a lot, but there is multiple Emmy caliber performances in every episode. Like, not to get ahead of myself, but like even the speech that Mon Mothma gives. I mean, we're getting essentially a 4-part Andor movie this season, right? Like it's like we're getting a full Star Wars movie dropped every Tuesday night. It's an embarrassment of riches, and I'm shilling hard for this one, guys. I'm shilling hard for it.
It's well worth the amount of money that they're putting into making the show, and I think for a show too. I mean, obviously, like, you know, Star Wars, Marvel people, like, we'll go into these shows expecting like the Easter eggs and stuff like that. And we'll get some of that. If you really pay attention, there's some of that, obviously. But like, I think it's more so just the quality of the content and the way that they build everything up. And it's probably, and you guys have probably discussed this before, but is this the best show that Star Wars has ever done? And I love The Mandalorian. I've watched them all. I love Clone Wars. But like, in terms of pure quality, is it the best show that they've done? I mean, that's a question I pose for you guys.
I mean, I think it's up there with one of the best shows Disney Plus has ever done.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I mean, I think like if we're talking all of the MCU TV shows and Star Wars TV shows, it's like, yeah, to me it's in that elite class with WandaVision and Loki. And I think it is the best. And it is also the only Star Wars that my dad could watch with me and not be disappointed in me. So I think there's that too. Put that on the side of a bus station, Disney. Finally, Star Wars, my dad won't shake his head in disappointment.
No, like I totally agree. Like this is probably definitely the best Star Wars show that we have, the best show on Disney Plus, honestly, because like not only is the CG perfect, but the writing is just like insanely good. Like it just out of nowhere, just like I honestly can't think of a Star Wars movie that is written like Andor. Like, not saying the Star Wars movies are like, you know, bad or anything, but like, man, like this tier of writing, like if we had that for like the sequel trilogy or like, you know, anything else, like it would just be phenomenal. Like I want this showrunner on everything. I want him to get a promotion and to be like all up in Star Wars's guts, because I want more of this.
This is for sure prestige TV caliber writing. You know, it's like maybe this is recency bias, but off the top of my head, I can't think of since maybe Deadwood, a show that featured so many individual monologue performances that just hit home and increase the drama and the tension. It's really amazing. And speaking of amazing, I am running the ship. I'm piloting the ship this week, which means that there will be a lot of due diligence that wasn't done, including singling out a particular Patreon member for thanking them and thanking them as a sponsor. But I want to, and I'm sure MT does as well, and Whitney and Brett and Alexa out there in the ether somewhere. We want to thank all of our Patreon subscribers. Without you, this show would be out of gas. We would have no ribo to fuel our deepest desires. So thank you for being the strange, metallic, poisonous vapors that make Saw Gerrera's voice sound like this.
But no, seriously, thank you guys for being patrons. It really helps out, help us out a lot. And if you guys want to become patrons, you can check the link in our description and join the Palaxy family on Patreon.
Absolutely. Next week when the adults come back, we'll be able to single you out individually. But until then, just know that I love you all, and I would never play favorites, but I do like some of you more than others, and you'll have to spend the rest of your lives wondering if I'm talking to you right now. So let's get back into it. The second chunk of episodes is really, we see Mon Mothma and Luthen are ramping up. It feels like the stick of dynamite has been lit, but it's not close to exploding yet. And I will say, I almost didn't feel like this chunk ended explosive enough to me. And it's tough to remember because I've honestly watched all of these episodes very close together. So now I'm trying to sort out what happened in what episode, but
Yeah.
one thing remains consistent in Star Wars, and that's that nobody has good aim.
I mean, like, maybe like the dude that shot Cinta had good aim by accident.
Yeah,
'cause,
that's
like, we were
about
just
it.
like,
By
"What?"
accident, though.
He goofed
I
up
said don't bring blasters.
and he brought his blaster.
He brought a
like
blaster to a robot fight.
That's how episode 6 ended, right? With the death of Cinta, like with the Empire sort of staging this like reason for rebellion, with these Gore resistance stealing their weaponry and like, you know, just starting off the rebellion so they could use that for propaganda fuel is literally like genius. Like the fact that we heard the plan at the beginning of the season and it went off perfectly. It's just like, my God, the Empire is just like playing like freaking 4D chess and winning.
They've been 2 steps ahead this whole season, and it's maddening because we get to watch it. We know that these rebels and these Gorans are doomed to fail because it's like the Empire is literally playing them like chess pieces. And it's, you know, starting with my boy Cyril, who's pretending that he's just a simple C-suite level executive, but is actually spying for the IBS. And it's IBS? No, that can't be right. The
ISB.
ISB.
Yeah.
ISB. Leave it in. I want to raise IBS awareness. ISB. Good Lord. The ISB, of course, Cyril's back in the game. Deidre's playing him like a pawn. He's playing the Goran rebels like pawns. Everybody's getting played. It's a masterclass.
The thing between like their relationship is that like it's very much a reflection of Cyril's relationship with his mother. Like this woman is like stringing him along in a very toxic way, and we see that end horribly for him. It's just like, man, like as soon as like he died, I was like, this is your fault, Mama Cyril. Like this is like if you just like gave him more hugs, maybe he would have better taste in women, and he wouldn't be in this situation. Like, what are you doing? The fact that she cried at the end, I was like, you save your tears, all right? Save it, save
this is your fault
because this is your fault. But yeah, I love their dynamic. It's just a tragic character in Cyril.
Even in his 1-hour visit, where she's like, turn the lights off. which plants my Dom submissive theory in stone, in my opinion. But I mean, it was just such a funny, it's like Andor is Star Wars for adults, even though all we get is the lights turning off. Yet I'm sure there are still people online that are like, we don't need this in our Star Wars. We know the light's on. But right. I think one of the best interactions in that 4 through 6 episode chunks was Cassian with the bellboy at the hotel. Where, you know, Cassian is playing this fashion designer, and like the mask kind of slips off a little bit as he's having a conversation with this kid who was a witness, like an eyewitness to the Grand Moff Tarkin massacre. He lands a cruiser
that
on
is
a ton of
so brutal.
Citizens.
So brutal.
Like,
when he was talking about it, I was like, Tarkin, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
He's like, I wanted that park. It's like the equivalent of running your Chevy Equinox into the old lady that's reserving a parking spot at the grocery store, holding it for her husband. It's like, you don't get to do that. I land my car on you. It was brutal, and like I thought that the kid did a great job acting. We get to see him again in the third chunk of episodes. But Cassian as the fashion designer was really, really well acted by Diego Luna, like slipping in and out of Andor the rebel, and then this free spirit artist that he's pretending to be. I think those are the most fun moments of Andor's participation in the series that bears his name, is when he's getting to kind of impersonate people in the name of the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, his relationships with so many different characters in the show is definitely the best part. And I mean, the fact that they've wrapped up so many of them already. You mentioned the bellboy. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, he sacrificed himself in episode 8 or 9 there, right? He died. He definitely died, right?
That's what I was wondering too. I was like, he set off that grenade thing, and then we don't see him again when Andor's in the building. So it's just like, did he die? I guess he's dead.
Yeah.
If I don't see a body, I expect him to come back.
Yeah, exactly. That's the rule, right? Going back to Cyril for a second, it reminded me, my favorite part of the fight that he had with Cassian, when Cassian just says, after they're fighting for like a while, for a few minutes, he goes, who are you? Like, he questioned it, because that's the first interaction they have, like, face to face, right? Like, this is the bane of his existence for the last fucking 2 seasons.
Right.
And then he doesn't even know who this guy is right before. I thought that was beautiful writing and storytelling. That was perfect. It's such a tragic character, like you were mentioning before, Tommy. But I love it. I thought that was a fantastic moment.
And it is like, you know, it's the blessing and the curse of these huge shows, is there's so many characters that you forget because we see them all in one episode. These characters haven't met each other IRL before. They've only
Mm.
texted. I think, kind of what could easily be lost in this block of episodes is this Saw Gerrera scenes with Wilmon.
Mm.
And that whole misdirect that like Saw's definitely going to kill this kid, and then it's like, no, he had a bad peer review with his other lead engineer and decided to shoot him in the head instead. And maybe I missed the nuance of this, but he definitely planted that evidence on him, right? Like that was. Do you think that guy was really a spy? I thought
he was.
I took it as like he had a conversation with this guy, and this guy wasn't confident enough to do the mission. And we know Saw Gerrera is ruthless and like not above like paying the high price of a rebellion. So I thought he had his other goofy little friend plant the transponder, the way police plant evidence on people.
Right.
So that's what I thought. Maybe I was wrong.
I could totally see that happening because like if he shoots this guy, then without like a good reason, it's going to be hard to like get your people to trust you. It's like, all right, he just shoots people. Like, why am I working for this guy? So like if he planted the evidence, it's like, all right, well, he was a bad guy, so that makes sense.
And Wilmon gets a promotion and gets to live, like and he gets to breathe in that sweet, sweet ribo at the end of that episode.
I know, right? Yeah. Ooh, spicy drugs, spicy hair drugs.
Saw Gerrera's role on this show is interesting because he's not supposed to meet Andor until the movie itself, right? Until Rogue One. Right. Okay. So yeah, we're kind of seeing like the side story of that. That is interesting. Kind of going back to what you guys were saying as far as like a lot of these, there's so many characters on the show. It's kind of hard to keep track of like who's interacted and who hasn't and stuff like that. But I mean, they're tying stuff up really well. Like the introduction, forgive me, but I don't remember his name exactly. K2SO? Is that the robot's name?
That is correct.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah. So they introduce him at the end of this episode, or 9 rather. Right. I thought that was cool. I'm curious to see how else they kind of tied into the last couple episodes going into Rogue One, because it's supposed to take place like not mere moments before, but like a year beforehand, right?
Yeah, the last season will be leading up to like right before the first scene of Rogue One that Andor is in.
Oh, right before the first scene.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to, because like the first, because it's supposed to be a 5-year exploration of Andor's life. Also, we get Bail Organa back, played by Benjamin Bratt instead of Jimmy Smits. Scheduling conflicts led Smits not to be able to be there.
I was hoping that they would just randomly cast Don Cheadle in the role. Just to be funny. Just don't say anything.
I play everyone that we have to recast now. But before we jump to the last block of episodes, we also have art forgery. This show has it all. There's
oh my God, yes.
There's art forgery, and then there's like Luthen is almost caught with his bugging device that he's masterfully planted in the art gallery.
I love Luthen's assistant.
Those pesky strip screws will get you every time.
She's had so much a bigger role on this show or on this season than she did the first season. The first season she was in it consistently, but she's been in way more scenes, doing way more stuff on this season than the first one. I think she's been great so far.
I love her so much. Like she is just so intense, and like that whole sequence where she's trying to remove the bug from the artwork. I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like, is she going to do it? Is she going to leave blood behind? Is she going to get caught? Like what's going to happen?
I think the AV Club points this out, but it's like, ironically, that's more suspenseful than the actual attempted taking down of the cargo freighter. It's like the screw ends up being the most suspenseful thing in the episode. I think that's just one thing that the show does amazingly, is that like it can make something as simple as turning a screw into like a Hitchcockian, you're on the edge of your seat moment, and that's credit to the filmmakers and the actors for that.
One of my favorite parts after that sequence was when Luthen and his assistant are walking out, and they're like, "We should have just killed Krennic. Why didn't we just do that?"
Yeah, right.
I know, that was funny. Yeah, pointing out the question that we're all wondering.
So we get Krennic and we get Mendelsohn and Genevieve O'Reilly interacting, which is like what an awesome.
Yeah,
awesome moment. I mean, it's just the fact that Ben Mendelsohn, we just keep getting him on these Disney Plus shows, and Krennic is such a great villain in Rogue One, and like getting a little more fleshing out of his backstory is great, and I'm all for it.
But let's talk about Bix and Andor and like them settling into Coruscant and like laying low for a while. First of all, the set design of this is just out of this world perfect. Like they mixed practical set with like the volume so well, like the perfect way to actually do it, in my opinion. I loved all the Coruscant scenes because it felt like a real place rather than in the obviously like, you know, it was the prequels, like it was of its time, but like watching the prequels is like, all right, this is green screen, like this is like,
Yeah.
obviously it looks good in theory, but like this is
Right.
obviously dated CG and like, you know, it's
Yeah.
not great, but like this is just like, oh my god, like Coruscant could be a real place with real people, and like in actual real politics, and like it just, this show did so much to make Star Wars feel like a living, breathing, actual place. And like I feel like and that's like, you know, the thing that you want to do when you make these supplemental shows. It's like, all right, give it a reason why it has to exist. Like, give people a reason why they should watch this, and why, like, you know, it's not just, you know, trying to get your Disney Plus money, you know, like and Andor does it perfectly, you know. I really love these scenes. I love watching Bix, the journey that she's going through, and her just trying to live her life, you know, like she's tired of being on the run, and she's like, I just want to be able to go to the market without worrying about
Right. Or
spies,
go for
you
a
know?
walk in the park that might have a few cameras up. But we also, like, I mean, there's something about her relationship with Andor that's forever changed because she's seen the ruthless side of him now, right? Like, he kills the soldier because the soldier saw her face. So it's like, here's this woman that already has all this PTSD, and it's like, add the guilt of the life of a soldier onto it now. And she's coping with a chapstick tube of space drugs.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. I mean, it really is kind of going back to what you guys were saying before. Like, this is Star Wars for adults. Like, as far as between that, they said shit at one point. I don't know if they've ever, have they said that in Star Wars before?
I don't think so.
In anything, I'm sure they have, right? I'm trying to think.
Not that I know of.
I think Jar Jar said it along with the F word. I think that was.
Yes, it was.
He's so tired of this fucking shit.
Boss Nass hurled off a tirade of F-bombs.
It was a one-off. So that stood out to me, like the drug-related stuff. There was even like the Bix attempted rape scene that happened
that was
during
the
the
first
show.
thing,
In the first three. So that was crazy too. And I'm thinking again, as just someone who's rewatched, and I've watched all the movies like years ago when they came out, but like I've tried to get like, I have a 12-year-old sister who I got into Star Wars in the last couple of years. So I've rewatched everything from Clone Wars and Rebels to all the movies and stuff. None of that is covered or even come close to like touched upon in like the more recent content. And it doesn't feel risque either. It doesn't feel like a cheap attempt to make it more like TV 14 just for the sake of it.
No,
you know what I mean?
It feels like it's delivering on the promise of the series, which is like, this is to show the brutal side of the rebellion. And like, in order to see that, in order to show that, you have to be truthful to what rebellions are, which is a lot of loss and a lot of pain and a lot of, you know, risk.
Yeah.
People sacrificing or risking their lives frequently in the name of a greater good. So,
and it felt very reflective of what the dark side is when it comes to everybody, not just like, you know, Sith and Jedi or whatever. It's like anybody can have like a really dark side, and like that is what the Empire sort of teaches their soldiers. Is like, hey, just take whatever you want, and like just think about yourself, like get a promotion, like just think about you and you only, and just like that's just what life's supposed to be. And so like that's sort of reflective in this shitty ass officer who wants to take, you know, what he wants from Bix, and Bix wasn't having it. She bonked him on the head and shot him. Like,
that's right.
Like everyone should.
Absolutely. That's a powerful deterrent. Now, let's focus our waning moments on the third block of episodes, which is, to me, when Mon Mothma became Barack Obama. And,
Barack Mothma.
Barack Mothma. I love it.
That's classic.
They should make one of those Hope shirts with Mon Mothma on it. Like, oh man.
Yes.
No, but seriously, like, we get to see Mon Mothma make the bold step to move to Yavin. She's relocating to Yavin, y'all. And it's not without its, you know, we're seeing the Empire really close its metaphorical hand around the throat of the last remaining sovereignty of freedom that the galaxy has. It's like, yes, we're going to start arresting senators that we don't like what they say. And you even see like examples of the state-run media using Empire talking points. It's like, you know, all of the dystopian things that we really hope would never happen here, we see them in Star Wars.
As far as like, and again, maybe you guys can help me clear this up, but like I was left questioning, like, is she completely out of the senator role at this point and she's fully infledged with like the rebellion and whatnot? Or is there still left to explore as far as like she's still a part of the Senate and stuff? That was the impression that I was left with, as far as like she's fully a part of the rebellion and she's out of the public eye as far as being in the senator seat and whatnot.
There was that attempt on her life that, like, after she gave that speech. So like, I'm thinking that maybe she might be done. Like maybe she's just like fully on the run, but like I don't know. That's a good question.
Her driver has now fully informed on her to, right?
Yeah.
To the ISB. So it's
That was
like,
crazy.
so
Yeah.
it's like they know that she's like at least more than just a like talking piece senator. Like she's actively involved in undermining the empire. So
Yeah.
probably the only thing she can do is go to the rebel base and leave this life of politics behind and become a full-blown badass rebel.
By Rogue One, she is, isn't she?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
she's in.
I believe
Okay,
so,
yeah.
yeah,
I get it
yeah.
mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I
Like-
think that's when they reintroduced the character, because she was originally
Yes.
supposed to have a much larger role in the prequels, I think, and then that was kind of like her redemption was Rogue One, and then her ultimate redemption has been Andor.
I wanted to see her fighting on Mustafar. That would have been so cool.
Yes, please.
She's just rave dancing like she was at the wedding. She's like, I got drunk again. I'm dancing. They're like, Mom, there's no music.
Speaking of Mustafar, I know this isn't related to Andor, but did you guys? You may have talked about this on an episode that you guys have already done. But have you guys, or did you guys see Episode 3 in theaters when they re-released it recently, or no?
No, I have a. I think it's
No,
still
I
in
still
theaters,
don't.
right?
I think it was only for 1 week. I saw it like, yeah.
No, I missed it.
Damn.
I told like
missed
10
it.
people I'd go see it with them, and none of them asked me. So, old second
funny.
choice Tommy. I'm sure they all went with their hot girlfriends, but
You are the hot girlfriend, Tommy. Did you
Yeah.
go, Graham?
I did, yeah. So, I mean, they only did it for one. I mean, first of all, the fact they didn't do it on May the 4th.
Yeah.
I know Thunderbolts came out last week, and so I get it. But, like, the fact they didn't do that was disappointing. But
Yeah.
they did it for that 1 week before May the 4th. And it was sick. I mean,
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith was the first Star Wars media I think I fully got invested in. I'm almost 30. So, like, I wasn't following along with, like, the. Not the prequels, but like the original saga.
Right,
Before,
right,
I
right.
actually got into the prequels first, and then
Me
the
too.
original.
When I was a
saga.
kid, I
Yeah,
watched
which
the prequels first. It's the best way
is-
to
Yeah,
watch
me
it.
too.
that's what
Yeah, so
was
that's
supposed to happen. But the adults ruined the prequels by shitting all the adults like me ruined the prequels for kids like you by saying they weren't good enough. And thank
I
God the
love
children were wise, and they
Yeah.
said the prequels are good. And you guys are just sad because you're old now and you can't identify with the young Anakin Skywalker and you're more like Qui-Gon and that makes you sad. I'm glad that the youth prevailed and now we get to look back at Revenge of the Sith as the good movie that it is. Now Attack of the Clones, Attack of the
they've been
Clones
redeemed,
can go
yeah.
fly a kite for all I care. But
If they're doing the re-release of the movies, like they did Episode 1 last, it's all obviously on the anniversaries. Like it came out
Right.
20 years ago,
Right.
this month or whatever. The third one did. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we get a Rogue One re-release in the next year. 'Cause
well, it'll
next
be the
year's
10th
10 years.
anniversary, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping
10
that
years
as well.
since Rogue One?
I
Are
know,
you
it's-
That's
joking?
crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
No
That's
freaking
nuts.
way. Oh my God. That
Because
makes
it
me
came out
so
the year after Force
old.
Awakens, and that was 2015. So
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
uh,
10 years for that too.
yeah.
This year, that's
Force
crazy.
Awakens turns 10, and just in time for Ryan Gosling to save Star Wars once again. But I want to get into the third chunk a little more in depth. Cassian gets what he calls his last assignment, and that is to put one between Deidre's eyes. You know,
Pew, pew, pew.
she's got to go.
Oh, yeah.
She's now fully entrenched as like the leader down in Ghorman, and getting all those sweet spider webs. You know, she's the chief web gatherer. This is Star Wars, and the show isn't over yet, so it's like we assume the plan is doomed to fail. But the way it fails is so spectacular and leads to the death of our dear Cyril Karn. So,
All right,
Yeah.
Cyril.
Cyril, you were a little sad baby boy from day one, but I was still sad to see you go.
I was rooting for Cyril to like join the rebellion proper
Yeah.
by the end of the series.
Me
Like,
too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that's where they were going with it, but like, man, I mean, like, granted, the way that Cyril died, I'm okay with, because that guy that shot Cyril definitely he deserved to kill him, because like he was like, this
Yeah,
is all
I
your
agree.
fault. You killed my
Yeah.
people, so like, pew, like.
Right.
So he deserved that. So like, I'm not mad at that, but like, it's just so sad watching Cyril from season 1, knowing how awful his life is, and knowing that like he wanted to do a good thing, like he wanted to serve his like country.
He thought he was right the entire time.
Right.
He never
exactly.
once was like, maybe I'm on the bad guy's side until
Yeah.
like the very end.
And like that's when he just lost it. Like rather than join the rebels, he was like, I want revenge on like whoever made my life this hell. You know, he chokes Deidre a little bit, and like that was very intense.
That was crazy. Yeah.
It was just so crazy seeing him like stand up to her and then like go to Andor immediately and just be like, I'm angry at you. Like I don't care about like all this gunfire happening, all this chaos. I want you
Yeah.
dead. before I, address my own safety. It's just like that dude was angry. He was pissed off.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, and now his overbearing mother is just left with her toy spider she named after him, and her weird ass brother-in-law, who like evidently is like a Christ figure in her life. She always points to what's his name, Uncle Hero or something like that, or Uncle whatever.
Oh yeah,
like
the uncle. Yeah.
Graham, one thing you got to know about this podcast is I'm never going to remember any characters' names. And
I'm terrible with names too. I get it.
Don't you worry
Especially
about
in Star
it.
Wars.
I call him Weird Uncle, Uncle Bebo, or something like that. The real tragedy, I think, lies at the end of episode 9, and that is that Bix and Andor have split to make room for Andor's true love, K2SO. He's a one droid guy. B2EMO is galaxies away. We don't have any idea.
Stuttering away in some type of weed.
He's hanging out with that farm lady. And,
I don't know how you fumble Bix, bro. Bix is 10 out of 10. Like, my God.
I've talked about it before, but I interviewed her at the first press junket for Andor season 1, and this was literally my reaction when her Zoom camera came on. And I'm not objectifying her at all. She's just a beautiful woman. Yeah. She came on and she's like, "Hello," and I was like, "Do you like Star Wars?"
Are you on the right phone call? Like, you're too hot for this franchise.
I froze up. I lost. My mind went blank. The angels sang out. I was like, I get it. I'm like this bearded goon on the other end of a Zoom call, but I was like, Star Wars is good for you? Yes. Do you want to be a good guy or a bad guy? It was by far the worst work I've ever done. Shame on you, Andor, for letting Sweet Bix get away. But good for her, because she's probably going to have a longer, happier life. She probably would have been on that planet with like looking at Andor kissing Jyn Erso and been like, "Hey, what the hell?"
You think she's definitely gone? Does she come back in the last 3 episodes? I feel like they ended it so well with that tragic feeling of like he fumbled her. So like, I don't know.
And like you want as the viewer to be like, he's going to go get her, but you know that he doesn't, and that he ends up, exploding via nuclear blast. So
I hope she doesn't come back, just because like I do want her to have like a good ending where she is happy somewhere and has a family and gets to live her life. But I also do want to see her potentially come up during the Mandalorian movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, because that's supposed to be this big affair with like a crossover between all these different.
She would be a great character to tie it.
That'd be cool.
I wanted to go back and get B2EMO. she's just living with him, and they run into Mando and Grogu. That would be perfect for me. That would be fine.
That would be sick. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking like in the last 3 episodes, they did every arc for the last couple of weeks has been good, but like I'm wondering how they can top themselves from episode 8 and 9 collectively. But like, and again, I'm thinking far-fetched stuff here. I don't know if he was cast in the show, but do we see a cameo from Andy Serkis's character from the first season? Probably not, because the whole like I can't swim thing was such a great ending for his character.
Right, yeah.
But like I don't know if he can make a return at all, because I would love to see him. That was like my favorite episode from season 1, the whole one way out thing.
That was such a great turn by him, especially, it's like, wait, this is the guy who voiced Supreme Leader Snoke. It's like,
seriously.
They were like, it doesn't matter. That was a CGI character, the mocap character. Fine, he can play himself.
It would be cool if we saw him pop up in these last 3 episodes, but I have a feeling, once again, that we're probably going to see him either referenced or come up again in that Mandalorian and Grogu movie, mostly because it seems like the Mandalorian, all these other Disney Plus Star Wars shows are sort of like trying to tell the tale of the Empire trying to manipulating midichlorians in different ways and like using clones and whatnot. And I feel like we're learning the story of how Snoke became Snoke. For example, in Obi-Wan, we saw that whole fortress full of like amber trapped Jedi, like trapped in amber. And I feel like that's how the Emperor got all the midichlorians that he needed to make his Supreme Leader Snoke creation. And like in the same way, Kino Loy, he probably took his DNA, his voice, because he was like, oh my God, this guy's so good at like, controlling prisoners and whatnot. He probably took his voice and then like put it into Snoke. It's like, all right, here's my perfect clone.
That would
creature.
Be perfect.
Yeah,
I would love if they explained it that way.
That's like the reveal that they're waiting to do for the Mando Grogu movie, but who knows? I
hope so. Well, now when it doesn't happen, I'll be very disappointed when it doesn't happen.
That's what always happens. MT has better ideas than what happens on the actual show, and then I get mad. They need to hire MT as their creative director. Speaking of excited for how things are going to turn out, we've got 3 more episodes left before the events of Rogue One, which I cannot wait to finish that episode 12 and then immediately turn Rogue One on, and it'll probably be 2 in the morning, and I'm going to end up being bad tired the next day, but it'll all have been worth it. What are you guys most excited for in these last 3 episodes?
Hey, I do want to see maybe like a quick Jyn Erso cameo, maybe. I don't know. That'd be fun. I mean, obviously, like this, the point of the show isn't cameos, but like it would be cool to like, you know, see her pop up right before we see her in Rogue One. But I do like the story of the Senate and how it crumbles like into nothing. Because like, at the beginning of A New Hope, we see Vader talking to all those officers. He's like, yeah, the Senate's done. Like, with you know, there's no more Senate. And so like I want to see the looks on all the senators' faces when like it's like, oh, our position no longer matters. Like, what's gonna happen? Like do they all get shot by the Empire? Who knows? So I think
see, they all get positionally eliminated.
We're restructuring the Empire.
We're reformatting the Empire. Your position no longer exists here. There's just going to be one main Empire who's in all the video, who is just knows. I kid, because I love, Graham, what are you excited for?
I mean, I guess this is a basic answer, but like I want to see further construction of the Death Star, just because it was such a big part of the first season. Like they had the whole building in the prison, which the fact that they tied that up with the post-credit scene was fucking awesome. And then that was the post-credit scene, and then we've seen nothing of that since, which is fine because what we've got in the meantime is great. But just see a little bit more of that with Krennic and whatnot. I feel like is what I'm most excited for if they get to
it. Won't play out this way, but would there be anything better than a ribbon cutting ceremony with Vader and the Emperor? The Emperor has a giant pair of scissors that's like, sink. Do it.
I mean, I would love that personally. But yeah, I totally agree. Like more Death Star stuff. Like I want to see that being made because like, you know, that's very much teased in the prequels and even like the plans showing up in what's it, episode 2?
Oh yeah.
Right. I always was confused about that. I was like, did Jyn Erso's father make it, or like clarity on that?
I don't think they know.
We're just making it up as we go.
Someone's gonna have to figure that out. For me, I think we have all these characters that we have grown invested in this show that we don't see in Rogue One. So I'm excited to see how those characters are tied up. Like, what is Luthen's last act gonna be? You know, like how's he going out? You know, he's going out some way cool. Right? Like most likely he's probably going to do something crazy. And there's other characters too that who knows if they live or die, but like, you know, I look forward to their resolution because it seems odd to me that a character like Deirdre, it seems like either she's going to like be completely pushed out of the Empire or die, right? Like it's like, because she's like basically being groomed for this high level empirical position and we don't see her in Rogue One. So,
Yeah, they got to tie up those loose ends. I think Star Wars, for the most part, a lot of these shows and movies, they leave open-ended questions as far as, like, then they also don't follow up on it. It would be one thing like, oh, let it play out. They might pop up in something else. And then a lot of the time, we just don't see these people again. We don't know where they are. You know? And Rogue One did a great job of that, and hopefully they can fix that with this one.
Exactly. I agree. Speaking of tying up loose ends, we got to tie up this episode. Boys, I've had a great time talking Andor with you guys. Graham, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you on the socials?
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Just find me on @WrestleRant everywhere, my work, writings, podcast, and everything else. All I do is wrestling for the most part, so when I get a chance to check out your guys' content, talking Star Wars and Marvel, whether it be recently over the last couple of years, I appreciate it. So thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have been an honorary member of the Big Head Gang.
You're a full-fledged member of the Palaxy, and you're an honorary Big Head Gang. MT, I love you. Thanks for joining us as well. And thank you to all our pals out there. Be good to your pals. Check in on your pals. And remember, this takes place in a Palaxy far, far away. But we're right here in your hearts. Goodbye.
Bye.